What's going on, family? It's your main man, 100 Grand, Kim Blanks Harrell, and we are having a live webinar coming up on Saturday, May 14th, from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the topic this month is dividend stocks. Yeah, that's right. We're talking all about dividend stocks. Those stocks that not only give you your cake, but some of that icing too. So make sure you tap in to dividend stocks presented by Stock Market 101, part of the Bullish Institute's Financial Literacy Workshop Series.
What's up, everybody? Parrish Patton here, and this is another episode of the Entrepreneurial Kickback. First and foremost, I'd like to thank everybody who's already tapped in, listened, gave me positive feedback, and I'm truly grateful for you people who done that. Also, the people who, excuse me, I'm a little under the weather. Also, for these people who signed up to be guests as well, I also like to thank you. Continue to listen, follow, like, share, subscribe. For anybody you think this will help. Now, today's episode is I don't know his title. We didn't get his title. This was a fast one. We ran out of time. This is I'm gonna clarify this, but I believe he's Sargent Bobby Henry. Currently a 19-year vet in the Army. This episode, he shares his story, what led him up going into the Army. The original point of this episode was to speak on his experience on getting into the military and why, and what was the transition of that, of him doing things entrepreneurial, even though he still has a career. But we did run out of time. However, he broke down some gems that I think are useful for everyone. Especially we got the young men and women that may be considering going into the military. You know, just give this a listen. And also, I'd like to thank you guys again for tuning in. I'd like to introduce you, Sargent Bobby Henry. Now and boom, welcome to the Entrepreneurial Kickback. I'm your host, Parrish Patton, where I sit down and break bread with entrepreneurs and professionals through all walks of life. And today I want to go by Marquise Henry. You want to do that? Okay, we're gonna do Mr. Marquise Henry. Actually, you got a lot of tools on your belt, so
that's true.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself briefly for the people who don't know you.
Hello, everyone. For those that don't know me, my full name is Bobby Marquise Henry, but my close friends and family call me Marquise. I was born in Parrish, Tennessee, raised in Detroit, Michigan, joined the military at the age of 17 and been serving since. While being in the military, I've traveled through the majority of our 50 states and seen several countries, anywhere from Kuwait, Iraq, Afghanistan, Iran, Turkey, Syria, Germany, Italy, Poland, and the list goes on.
Oh, wow. What's your favorite?
South Korea, hands down.
South Korea?
Yes, absolutely.
Why South Korea?
The culture, the food, the shopping, and the sense of warmth that the community give you overall. They're very embracing to Americans. And if you show some form of courtesy, whether it's to learn about their culture, whether it's to learn their language, they are very appreciative of it.
You make me want to go to South Korea now.
You have to.
You do. You make me want to go now.
I'll tell everybody. Go.
But you said you started off in the military.
Yes.
So you was 17. What inspired you to enlist in the military?
So there's a funny story behind that. Mm-hmm. So while in high school, I was in junior ROTC, and I did all 4 years. And one day, me and my mother was talking, and I can't tell you what we were talking about. I just knew she said, "What's the point of doing all of this if you're not going to join the Army?" So in my eyes, like, okay, well, I'm going to show you. And also during this time, 9/11 had already occurred. And some of my friends had already joined, whether it was the reserves or the guard. And some of my older friends had did active duty. So the recruiter at the time, I believe his name's stricken off at this point, wanted to win me over. And for the longest, I kept telling him, nope, you're not going to get me. I don't want to do that. I want to go to college. I want to grow my hair, get braids, get tats. I'll just say whatever I can to get him to go away. It's like, nope, I just want to do drugs and have regret and wild out. Like a young, dumb 17-year-old.
Yeah.
So his supervisor made it a point that he wanted to talk to me on a Saturday. I'll never forget. I can't tell you the exact date. No, I can't. It's the 25th of March. It's when I actually agreed to sign this contract. But he talked to me a little bit prior to that. And he said, well, I want to talk to you. And I said, well, I got to be at work by 10 o'clock. He said, well, we'll be there at 8:30, if that's okay. And whether you choose to sign or not, we will take you to work, period. So I said, okay, well, it's going to save me some bus fare. So, all right, I'm game.
Yep.
Little did I know that that's actually a recruiting tactic that they use. So he said to me, he said, if I show up late, don't open the door. So in my mind, it's like, oh, this is about to be sewn all the way up. I'm going to say no. You may want to talk to my mom. She's going to say no. I'm her baby boy. You don't want your baby boy to go to war. Mm-hmm. I get a free ride to work. Everybody win. So he came into my home. He was there right on time, 8:28, walking up. And we sat in my mother's kitchen. And he's going over his spiel, you know, his son could travel the world. He can see different things, experience different cultures. He can move up in the ranks and he can earn college money and this, that, and the third. And it would transform him from the young boy that he is to a man. And, you know, I'm just looking at my mom's face and she's zoned in. So in my eyes, like, okay, you haven't won her yet. And my mother asked one question. She said, this is my only son. Will my baby boy go to war? And he looked my mother in the eyes and said, with no hesitation, ma'am, depending on the job that your son chooses and where he gets stationed at, there is a very high chance he will go to war. But I assure you, based on your son's intellect and his character, I have zero doubt that he will go through and come back just fine, or if not better than what he was. That made my mom sit back like, okay, you didn't lie to me. And then that's where he topped it with, hey, plus he gets free college. And the Montgomery GI Bill, which mine at the time was about $40,000. So enough to pay for a bachelor's. So I can see that my mom is one on this. And she looked at me like, well, son, what do you think? And now I'm in my feelings because, like, man, I was hoping you would say no so I could say no so I can get this ride. But I said yes. No hesitation, like, yep, let's do it. And even after saying yes, in the back of my mind, like, man, do I really want to do this? And They bringing me the contract. I'm like, my God, this is
Right there. They just brought the contract.
Yep.
Oh, shit. Okay.
At work. They let me clock out so I could sign everything that I needed. Next thing you know, I'm going to pick my job and stuff like that. And then on June 26, 2002, they came to my sister's house because that's where I was staying at the time. I officially walked the stage about 13 days prior to that. And they told me, hey, this is the day. They're going to put me up in a hotel and fly me out in the morning. And they was very truthful with me. They said, hey, you have all the way up until you start basic training to back out and quit. Now, the young 18-year-old in me is filled with pride. And it's like, nope. I said I was going to do this. I'm not backing out. I have already quit my job at McDonald's. Mm-hmm. And I've already made peace that there was nothing for me in Detroit and that I yearned for more. I was mature enough to acknowledge that what I was prepared to do was to walk a path that I wish upon no man, woman, or child to walk.
Okay.
So
it's an interesting perspective.
Yeah. Because despite the scholarships that I had earned, the bulk of them pointed to the military, and the one that I had my heart set on, I didn't get an answer from until I already started basic training. But a very close mentor of mine, he's like a father to me, taught me about courage, candor, and commitment.
Okay. Courage, candor, and commitment. Yes. Dive deep into that.
So, my junior ROTC instructor, I'll say Master Sergeant Orlando McGivney.
Shout out to him.
Yep. I call him my ROTC dad.
Okay, yeah.
Those are the three words that he used to always preach to us young men.
I'll pull up into the mic a little bit more.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's good. That's better.
So, he used to preach to us about courage, candor, and commitment. I didn't quite get what it meant at the time until I started serving. But that was the slogan that he lived by when he was in the uniform. So, the bottom line is...
I got dogs, y'all. It's okay.
But the bottom line, to sum it all up, is be a man of your word. It's okay to be afraid of new challenges and obstacles, but don't let the fear control you. Embrace it and let it become your strength. And then once you give your word, stand by it. Because at the end of the day, that's all what we have. The names that are given to us and the word that we give to others. And when I signed that contract as a child, that was, to me, my first adult decision. And I am not for one to back out of something if I say I'm going to do it. Unless it compromises morale, welfare, or my moral character. If it doesn't jeopardize any of those things, I'm going through with it all the way. So, on day one, or as in the Army, we say day 0.
Okay.
I arrived to Fort Knox, Kentucky on June 27th at 3 a.m. in the morning. And man, when I tell you, I had no clue what I was getting myself into. They shuttle us off the bus. They put us in this room. You're getting this briefing. Next thing you know is, all right, take your socks and shoes off. We're measuring your feet, verifying if you flat foot or normal arch or high arch. Okay, go to this room. Pull out these paperworks. Fill this out. Last name, first name, middle initial. Write your rank. If you don't know what your rank is, leave it blank. All right, shut up. Listen. By the time you got done with everything, it was 5 a.m. But guess what? That's what time wake up is. So I didn't get to go to sleep. Go right back out to formation. And it was just one roller coaster ride that whole day. It's like, all right, come here. All right, haircuts. no matter what you had, getting your head shaved. No facial hair, none of that stuff. By that afternoon, you already had what we call the Army physical fitness uniform, and which was like a t-shirt with the word Army across it, the trunks, and then we still had on green socks and our shoes that we bought ourselves until we went to the store to get their stuff. We put on, I call it like a dummy uniform, where they put every soldier in it so they could take that one photo for mom and dad or your brother, your girlfriend, or whatever. I'm sleepy, I'm bald, I'm hungry, I'm confused, I'm tired.
Dang.
But you're going through it. So that was probably the best night of sleep I got before the real training kicked off. And many people ask me, although it's been almost 2 decades ago, would I do it over again? My answer 100 times to you is yes.
That's interesting because I like talking to vets. I talked to this vet some years ago. He was working at a liquor store. He came home from combat.
Yep.
And he was telling me he had shrapnels in his legs, and he incurred all these injuries. And I was like, dang, that's messed up. I wouldn't want to do that. He was like, I'll go back. He said he'll go back, but he told me why. He said, I'll go back for the next soldier. I wouldn't go back for my country, but I'll go back for the next soldier, for the brother in arms that's still out there defending. And I thought that was interesting. And it's like special breed of people.
Absolutely.
And according to what you're saying now, you can build these people if you have the mindset to follow through with it.
So what I would say to that is, when you have a civilian that's coming off the street that don't understand the military lifestyle, of course not. Most may have veterans or those that are on active that they can get the stories from. But until you are baptized through the fires and you go through the trenches, you won't fully grasp the concept. So for me to elaborate on what he's saying, and I'm only speaking for the Army at this point because that's all what I've done. The Army will take people from all walks of life, regardless of what your story is from home. And the intent is to bring a collection of people to transcend their own thoughts and beliefs and adopt the Army way of life. To move as a single unit, to look out for your brothers and sisters to your left and to your right. So I had a wonderful leader who had told me when I was 19 that this was my Army and that he is only here to show me the way that he paved, to open himself up in terms of showing his success and showing us his shortcomings as a leader. I look now and I am in his shoes. So I tell the soldiers of today's generation, the younger ones that are coming in, that this is no longer my Army. I took it as far as I could, and I left my legacy as many other wonderful leaders have done in the past. And you are now charged with the responsibility of continuing these traditions, to continue to forge this way, to make us the powerful organization in which we are. Less than 1% of the American population serves. So you're already at the creme de la creme, if you will. And you are choosing to adopt a lifestyle despite whatever you were raised as for the greater good. When you look at our oath, we say that we will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, that we will bear true faith and allegiance to obey the orders of the president. We do that so that our friends, our family, our loved ones can walk free. I believe in the analogy that America is a warrior that carries both a sword and a shield. And that's what I see the military as. We are its shield to protect her, and we are the sword if we must go on the offense to defend her.
Makes perfect sense, actually. Never thought about it that way. Oh, that's amazing. I'm sorry, I gotta process that. He dropping jewels over here, y'all. Okay, I didn't prepare for this, by the way. You fire on so many different cylinders, so it's like just pick something and you'll tell me. But one question I have is my niece. I believe she's getting ready to go to the Army.
Okay,
and she's waiting to heal. Shout out to Imani. Listen to her podcast, Imani's podcast, on Anchor or Shopify. Going in, like, let's say you 18, 19, 20, you get ready to go to the military.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you tell that young person before talking to the recruiter?
Have an open mind.
Mm-hmm.
Accept that your best days are going to give you the reason that you may want to make a career out of this, and that your worst days will cause you to lose sight on why you signed up in the first place. Maintain focus on what is driving you to join. And then I would challenge you to develop new reasons to stay. I would say, despite your niece healing, do not let that serve as a handicap to you mentally. When you feel that you are healed and you sign on that dotted line and you cross that threshold to start your training, tell yourself that you are 100%. Promise yourself that you will give your all, that you will always put your best foot forward. One of the mistakes that I made for myself when I started basic training was that I felt that I had to prove that there was no task that you can give me that I can't accomplish. And the Army isn't made up of that way. It's about teamwork.
Okay.
And it was something as small as my bunkmate who didn't know how to make the bed military style with the military corners. But Junior RTC taught me these things. So in my mind is, okay, I'm an adult. I got to do this on my own. You're an adult. You got to do this on your own. And that's the wrong way to think. What I should have done when I look back at it now is, after I did it, show him how to do it. And that way we all succeed. So I would tell your niece, adopt teamwork. Don't focus on the things that you are excelling in, saying, well, I. Because once you do that, you will segregate yourself from your peers, and you will make the training far more difficult for yourself as well as your career. Because just as you have many attributes to bring, you're also bringing shortcomings too. So be brave, be open, be humble. That's what I would tell her.
That's good. That's real good. All right, let's move a little forward because you're in the military, you went through basic training, and well first, like you said, you had to sign a contract.
Yes.
So, like a car, like
you may as well say.
Okay, so like, Okay, I hear there's reserves and then there's career. Or
Reserves and National Guard.
okay, reserves and National Guard. Okay,
As well as active duty, obviously.
and active duty. What's the difference between those?
So with active duty, you're there all day, every day. Monday to Friday. Sometimes you work the weekends. It just depends on your unit and the circumstances.
Okay.
The differences or the similarities with the reserves and the guard, you still find yourself doing drills 1 week in a month and 2 weeks out of the year. But with the reserves, that is still funded federally, whereas the state, as the guard is funded by the state.
Okay.
So you still find yourself doing your 1 week in a month, 2 weeks out of the year. And there's also certain jobs that are offering the guard, and certain other jobs is offering the reserves. Active duty has virtually everything. So I am biased. I would tell anyone, team active duty, just plunge in. And travel. So I've done a great deal of traveling in my career, and I have zero regrets. If anything, maybe I should have traveled a little more.
Okay. You say you've been everywhere. So, okay. They pay for your college.
Yes.
So you indoctrinated. So you can come in, you can get a good career anywhere based off whatever that field. What you get your doctorate in?
So my master's degree, So my master's degree is in human resources. I do intend to start my doctorate program in March of 2022. And that will be my doctorate in business administration with a concentration in organizational leadership.
Like Jocko Willink then. You familiar with him?
A little bit.
Okay. Okay. It sounds like they teach you a little bit of everything. Did they teach you about money and how to use it properly?
No.
Okay.
So when I was coming up through the ranks, we had what's known as the Thrift Savings Plan, and it's still around today, or TSP for short. So in basic training, they told us, hey, it's good to invest, put money into it. But no one could really explain. The only thing you telling me is you taking money out of my check. And for me, I came in as a private first class or an E3. So a couple of notches above the lowest rank in the Army. And my checks every 2 weeks was a little over $400 back in 2002. So if you count for inflation now, I would argue maybe around 900. I would have to look at the pay chart. But in my mind, I'm not making enough to give it. Because I saw it. I cracked a couple of thousand. Because the Army match you so much. I said, man, okay. So then I was like, well, I want to contribute more because
free money.
Yeah, So I started putting a little more. And then he started teaching me about budgeting. So the one thing now I would say as today, yes, you do have financial consultants in the military that soldiers can go to. And those programs do exist. They just wasn't as pertinent during my era when I started. And in my field as a career counselor, whenever I have new soldiers that are in processing unit, I make it my business to go over these processes with them and point them to the right people. And I challenge them. You don't have to do 10% like I did, because eventually I dropped it down to 5%. Because I knew it was enough that I'm still building this nest egg, but it's not hindering me from doing the things that I want to do. Mm-hmm. So I challenge all. 5% of your base pay. You're not going to miss it. I promise you. And as you get promoted, it's going to automatically adjust itself and continue to contribute this money for you. And with the military now, under the old system that I came in, where it's 20 years or nothing, they now have what's called the blended retirement system. So by default, the military will at least give you 1%. But I challenge all soldiers to give 5%, because the Army will match you up to 5%. And I would tell that to your niece as well. That should be the first move she make. Mm-hmm. That way, if she chooses not to make this a career, then that money that you've been building, you can take it with you and roll into a 401k or another IRA, whether traditional or Roth. Or you can keep it in there and just let it build on the interest itself, because this is money that you're not missing.
And you said they match you up to 5%.
Yes.
So it's already beaten inflation pre-pandemic. So that's good. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Post-pandemic, I don't know. But you said things change, though, all the time.
My take on it, and I'll tell anyone, if you're joining the Army or if you're joining the military because you're trying to get rich, you're already looking in the wrong direction. Mm-hmm. Because there's many jobs and opportunities in the civilian sector that do exceed the military's pay. But when you say, I want to join for the experience, the networking, now you're taking on something that is far more valuable than the almighty dollar. And that's one thing that I had to learn for myself. I already knew it, but I had to come into fruition that, okay, let me humble myself and let me seek knowledge and wisdom from those that are in better positions than me. Because I can't get myself to a millionaire or a thousandaire if I don't know how to do it. Mm-hmm. And you'll always hear people, shooting it around saying, if I won the lottery, I would do this, that, and the third. And I have a belief on that. People that win the lottery win it for one or two reasons. Mm. One, because you're about to be tested to see if you are about your word. Or two, because you truly understand the value of the dollar and what you can bring with it. And that's why you find yourself winning. But I would tell people, if you're willing to spend $10, $20 or even more on lottery tickets and scratch offs, why not go into stocks? Mm-hmm. Yeah. At least I know where my money is going. Mm-hmm. You're playing on chance. I'm playing on percentages.
Facts. He's speaking bars, y'all. I'm gonna touch on what you're saying, because you're dropping money into your account. It's the same principle. That's in the stock world. That's called dollar cost averaging. Yes. So you can do that working at McDonald's.
Absolutely.
You can. I know people who've done that cutting grass, simply cutting grass. So there's jewels everywhere. Now, my take on the military is, because, of course, you're not gonna reach a certain monetary value as far as being in the military, but the skills, yes. The skills and the mindset, I think I can't find a profession better other than a doctor, maybe. So
when I tell people that you're not going to reach in the military, let me clarify my position on this. I'm referring to if you're just counting on your check that you're getting on the 1st and the 15th, you won't. This is fact. This is the universal fact that anyone who has served in the Army, Navy, Marines, Air Force, Coast Guard, and now even the Space Force will be able to tell you. If you are banking solely on that, unless somebody is taking care of you, it's not going to work. Mm. But the name that you have behind you is what's opening the doors. Mm. So when I look, and I've given a few years and I qualify for VA home loans with no money down. I just have to have good credit. Whew. Now, if I can go back in a time and talk to that 21-year-old, I would have told him that, hey, buy a house everywhere you PCS to. Why? Because you can rent it out, and that becomes earned income.
Mm-hmm.
You're not spending a dime other than the mortgage that you got to be able to hang on to and cover until you can rent this place out. But if you're not careful, you'll find yourself with peers that they're about, hey, it's Friday, let's go to the bars, let's go to the clubs, let's drink our money away. And then what do you have to show for it? Nothing. So this is why I love my specialty in the military.
And what's that?
Career counselor. So within our realms and our ranks, you'll hear people say, oh, we'll go see retention. And the first thing they think of retention is re-enlisting to stay in the Army. And more times than not, I find myself correcting soldiers to say, I am more than just retention. I am here for your entire career. Until I move or you move. Anyone who wears a badge on their chest like I do will tell you, we're here for your career. So we're going to help point you in the right places, whether it's for finances, whether it's for education, whether it's to help you identify short-term and long-term goals, how to get promoted, what job that you're currently serving in, and maybe this job for you in the military might be pushing you towards a dead end. You may want to change your job to keep you on that career path if you're choosing to make this a career. Perhaps the enlisted side of the Army is not suited for you, and you may find yourself wanting to be a warrant officer or even a commission officer. Mm. So there's so many programs, there's so many assignments and opportunities, and that's why I love what I do for the Army, because I get to share these things with them so that they can make informed decisions, and you could take it back to that husband, that wife, that dog or cat, the goldfish, mom, dad, and talk it with them. Because our belief is when we re-enlist soldiers, you're not just re-enlisting a soldier, you're re-enlisting a family.
Oh, that's my timer. I'm running out of time. We still got a few minutes. You were saying?
So, as I was saying, whenever we re-enlist a soldier, you're re-enlisting a family. You're reestablishing that commitment. So these soldiers are just more than people. We consider them, these are America's sons and daughters. And their care, their lives are placed in our hands. So it is my job to be that servant leader to ensure that I am pointing them in the right direction. And anyone who shares my rank or in the realm of non-commissioned officers, that's what we do. Teach, coach, mentor. My job is to empower you to make better decisions than I make. I want you to take my job so that I could go retire, because I can't do this forever, despite how much I may love it. And I have a saying that I've adopted from my mentor. I am closer to the end of my career than I will ever be at the beginning. And I'm okay with that. The things that I wish I could have done that I didn't do, I can live with, because I can empower the next generation to not take the same route that I did. Maybe make a different decision on a certain corner than I did, and to live it out through them, to say, hey, I helped someone reach their potential. I helped someone succeed me in every aspect. That's what it's all about. And I think a lot of companies in the civilian sector love us military personnel because that's the mentality that we bring forth. It's not about me proving that I'm the best. It's about me showing you what I can bring to make us the best. How do we transform this organization to make it far better than what it was? No man is greater than the whole picture. So that's how I've always looked at it.
That's a great perspective. And these are perspectives I think that that applies to everyday life. You know, that applies to your family, that applies to your friends, that applies to your coworkers.
Absolutely.
You know, that if you have a business, that applies to your business. Hell, that applies to your investment strategy. If you got a bad stock in your portfolio, you're gonna leak money through it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. It's one way to do everything. I think that's the saying I heard before. Well, we almost out of time. Real quick, if people wanted to get more information on if they want to go down your path, what would you recommend them do?
So, if you're wondering about my path as far as the military, I would say www.goarmy.com. Take the questionnaire. They have virtual recruiters on there as well. Find your local recruiting station. Ask questions. Recruiters, my brothers and sisters, get a bad rep that they think, okay, the recruiters just want that number. And that's not true. We believe in getting quality and potential, but we won't know unless you come out and you take that step. So don't be afraid to inquire. Don't be afraid to challenge one of us and ask the hard-hitting questions, because at the end of the day, it's still up to you to cross that path and to start that journey.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Mr. Henry. This is the Entrepreneurial Blueprint. I'm sorry, I got another show on my mind. Shout out to Jay Jones. This is the Entrepreneurial Kickback. Thank you guys for listening. We out. Ooh.